And for our next clip, what everybody has been waiting for, getting to the Orange Man himself that we still talking about, obviously, until the day that he gets unalived.
I swear to God.
I hate you,
He
Dan.
only said it because you told him not to.
As people are aware at the time of this recording, he made an announcement last night about the ongoing war in Iran.
It is a war, not an excursion.
Let's
it
see what he
is.
has to say.
Iran is threatening new attacks on U.S. allies as President Trump says the war is almost complete. CBS's Natalie Brand shows us the president's message.
President Trump once again said the mission in Iran would be over soon.
We are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks.
In his primetime address Wednesday, he did not reveal much new information, but again gave his justification for the conflict.
For these terrorists to have nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat. The most violent and thuggish regime on earth would be free to carry out their campaigns of terror, coercion, conquest, and mass murder from behind a nuclear shield.
Overnight, Iran launched a new volley of missiles at U.S. partners in the region. And the regime is threatening even more forceful, broader, and devastating attacks.
President Trump has been highly critical of NATO allies for not helping to secure the Strait of Hormuz. Today, the UK is hosting a virtual meeting of foreign ministers from around 40 countries to discuss options for reopening the strait.
We have seen Iran hijack an international shipping route to hold the global economy hostage.
The UK says military planners are working on a plan for the strait after the fighting has stopped. President Trump says the U.S. will be helpful, but says others should take the lead in protecting the key waterway.
We don't have to be there. We don't need their oil. We don't need anything they have, but we're there to help our allies.
Thursday morning, the price of U.S. crude oil rose 10% to more than $110 a barrel. Natalie.
The most brutal and thuggish regime on earth, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, thank God. All right, listen. First of all, a little history lesson needs to be said on Iran every time because not a lot of people understand the history of what happened there. They had a functional democracy with a socialist elected prime minister. The UK kept going up to them and being like, "Hey, we would love to use your oil," and they're like, "Okay, but only under terms that are favorable to us because it is our oil." And they were not playing ball at all and were being pretty disrespectful even in their negotiations.
As they should.
As they should, because they're a colonial world power after World War II. And so finally, Mohammad Mossadegh, the prime minister at the time, was like, all right, we'll just nationalize our fucking oil fields then, if that's how you guys are going to be about it.
Yeah.
Churchill immediately went crying to Eisenhower, begging the U.S. to help MI6 get involved in Iran and help that whole situation. And that culminated in Operation Operation Ajax. Ajax was the operation where we went in, overthrew the democratically elected prime minister, installed the Shah, who was already the king of Iran, but he was the government blocked him from doing anything through their constitution. He was more or less just a figurehead. And by getting rid of Mossadegh and allowing the Shah to take full power in Iran, we basically just installed a dictator over a democratically elected government, where women did have rights, since they love to talk about women's rights in the Middle East, only when they want to do a military action there. Women had more rights then. They had a more functioning society. They were doing great. They were like really challenging the post-colonial worldview on how countries would develop.
Mm-hmm.
And then we completely nerfed all of that when we put the Shah in power. And he was a brutal dictator who killed people. He had secret police. You weren't allowed to question him. All that standard brutal dictator bullshit. And then in 1979, the people united behind the Islamic Revolution of 1979, which overthrew the Shah and installed the Ayatollah, and that's the system we're still dealing with. So it's funny to me that now the UK is coming around and once again saying Iran's not letting us use their oil, and we want the US to help us with that. So history doesn't. There's the saying that history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. But in some cases, it does actually repeat.
Yeah,
Because one of our top, like, he's no longer favored now, but our top replacement for the Ayatollah was just the son of the original Shah that the Ayatollah overthrew in the first
Yeah.
place. So
And-
it's literally repeating itself.
I just think that it's crazy to say that all of our military endeavors are going to be done in 2 weeks when literally last year he said that we took care and got rid of their nuclear capabilities, and
Yep.
now we are literally deploying boots on the ground
Yep.
to a place that we shouldn't be in. Everybody could agree on that, but a place that not only we shouldn't be in, that Trump said didn't have nuclear capabilities, and now we're going.
Because
And
they're
he's
once
been
again weeks
saying-
away for the 5 millionth
Right.
time in 30 years.
Right. And it's just like I have my qualms with NATO, and that's something that we can discuss, I think, maybe a different time. I'm personally not a huge fan of NATO. But Trump basically shedding the blame and saying, well, now you guys got to worry about it because we don't need the oil. Motherfucker, we don't need the oil? So we're just bombing them for the love of the game? Is that
Yeah.
what he's saying?
Well, and it's the same thing with Venezuela too, is where they were like, it was a great operation, we killed the Ayatollah. That man would have been taken out in a week by a stiff breeze. He was fucking 89 or something like that.
Yeah.
And his son was already set up to take over for him when he inevitably died,
Right.
which could have literally been at any time, because again, he was in his 80s. He's old. So, like, and then with Venezuela, they took out Maduro, sure, but then they left his fucking vice president and
Right.
literally every single other person in charge of the government in charge. So nothing has changed.
Yeah.
And it's like Trump is the worst example of all these like neocons that love to go around the world and do nation building and all that, except he doesn't give a fuck about, like, he has such a short attention span that to him, he's like, well, if we can't get it done in 2 weeks, then leave it the way it is and we'll pretend we won something. And that's what he did with Venezuela. It was like, okay, well, we took out Maduro, so clearly everything's fine now. And then we didn't actually do anything or accomplish anything, and we may not even keep Maduro. And if you know anything about military strategy, you know that if you are going to be on the bad side of a choke point, that's a shit show.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem with Iran in general, is that, like, even that one island has a giant mountain range on it.
Right.
That keeps it to where you only have 2 access points, really. One of those being a choke point, the other one being storming the beach like it's fucking Normandy.
Mhm.
And then Iran itself is full of mountains everywhere.
Right.
So you can't just, and then, like, Isfahan, which is one of the major what is it, uranium? Yeah. Isfahan is one of the major uranium sites in Iran. It's like 300 miles inland.
Mhm.
And like the stuff that they're talking about doing as ways of going in and doing that is like, there's military experts out the wazoo saying this is a stupid idea.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are trying to play this war like it's a Hollywood movie, and it's not going to work that way.
Yeah.
I got 2 points I'd like to make. The first is that Iran holds all the cards in this. I got 2 points I'd like to make. The first is that Iran holds all the cards in this situation because
Absolutely.
they don't actually need to do that much. Like, it
Yeah,
does not matter
for
how
sure.
much Trump bombs them. Like, it's not enough to bomb their chain of command, their missile sites. You could turn the entire country into basically a parking lot, and that wouldn't help because Iran doesn't actually need to sink the ships trying to cross. All they need to do is maintain enough capability to send the occasional $20,000 drone out toward a ship, and then all of a sudden, no insurance company is going to touch any ship going through there.
Mhm.
They can effectively keep the strait closed as long as they want. And I think some people have realized that. I'm willing to bet that we go boots on the ground in Iran within the next couple weeks. And I
Yeah.
say this because, well, it's pretty open news that we've been sending a lot of troops in that general direction. But on conservative media, the pro-invasion astroturfing has been off the charts lately. And
Mhm.
breaking news at time of recording, Pete Hegseth has fired 3 top generals. Now, if you're still a top general at this point in the Trump administration, like, you kept your job. You weren't obviously whatever the fuck they want to get rid of at the moment. The only reason you leave now is because somebody tried to force you to cross a red line.
Yeah. I know, and I think that that's totally accurate, James, because, I mean, look at the state of Palestine right now, you know? Like, that's the thing that apparently we still don't understand about the Middle East is that, and I hate calling it the Middle East, but that's what we have to call it, because just
It's
so everybody knows what we're talking about, it besides the point.
Yeah.
All they need to do is survive.
Yep.
Like that, they don't need it to win. Like, you know, they don't need to advance territory or whatever. All they need to do is survive. Like, it's like how you can kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill a revolution. You know, like.
Yep. Well, and also, okay, so here's a couple things. First of all, it looks most likely that they're going to do it this weekend because it's a long weekend. It's got Easter in there, and they've been trying really hard to play up the Holy War aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So doing something on Easter,
Yeah,
an
that's a
appropriately
good
Easter
point.
themed name is kind of like the idea. But because it's a long weekend, the markets are also closed long.
Operation Epic Crusade. You heard it here first.
Epstein Crusade.
Yes.
But it's the long weekend. It's Easter, so it's a holiday, which means the markets will be closed longer this weekend. And Trump loves doing things when the markets are closed. And then also just his address is pretty clear to me that he's talking about like, oh no, batten down the hatches, everyone, because in a couple of days this is happening.
Right.
And that's the first point. The second point is all right, I'm gonna make a Marvel quote. Prepare yourselves.
Oh no.
The situation that Iran is in right now, Ant-Man, Quantumania.
Horrible movie.
I disagree with you. I actually enjoyed it quite a lot. However,
Okay, well, comments. The comments will correct us.
okay, we'll see how that goes. But in that movie, in the penultimate fight with Kang, what Ant-Man says is, I don't have to win, we just both have to lose. And that's kind of what Russia did with the Nazis too. Is they said, I don't have to win, we just have to both lose. And part of that involved literally destroying every fucking city and town they had before the Nazis got to it, so they had nothing that they could resupply with. And then eventually they got deep enough into Russia in the winter and they were like, we got jack shit for this. And so Russia didn't really win the Operation Barbarossa, I think is what that was.
I think so.
Yeah.
Whatever the Nazi movement into Russia was called. They didn't really win that, but they didn't lose it either because they just kept the Nazis constantly looking for supplies until they had to pull out because they had nothing left to get into the harder parts of Russia with.
Yeah.
And that's all that the Iranians have to do too, is they just have to survive what the U.S. is doing until it uses up all of its fucking munitions and shit, and then go, all right, we're still here. What you got left?
Ant-Man quote on the pod is that was not on my bingo card. But
I am a nerd, so
Trump seems awfully committed to this war. I know he probably won't watch the whole thing, but that's not the only stupid shit he's said this week.
Did President Trump just hand Democrats a big gift for the midterms?
Yes,
As if escalating frustration over spiking gas prices and a souring economy aren't enough, here he is making clear what are not on his list of priorities.
We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. It's not possible for us to take care of daycare. Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things.
Now, before Dan starts, I would just like to remind our viewers that this was at an event at the White House that was closed. This video was never supposed to get out. The White House accidentally published it, realized what they published, and then deleted it, but not before some journalists copied. It's a whole hour and a half long.
we cannot. Okay, there's so much wrong with this.
Give it to him.
There's so much wrong with this. Number one, okay, providing daycare is going to be way less expensive than universal health care. And we already have enough money to provide universal health care. Universal health care is cheaper than what we currently do, like on a national, like, budget basis, right? 2, motherfucker, these missiles are like $12 million that we're shooting off more, right? And then Iran's like sending a homemade, Walmart drone, like to
Shot-head drones.
Yeah.
Way more powerful than everybody thought.
to like take them down. And then number 3, really, we have 50 states. We've got too many, we've got just, it's too big of a country. We can't do it. Like, it's the same shit they say about, trains.
Uh-huh.
It's too big. We can't do it. We have too big of a country.
And number 4, I think you got to 3, right?
Yes.
Number 4, motherfucker, you started all these wars. We didn't have to fight these wars. We don't have to fight these wars. These wars are bullshit. You could end these wars today and just go, you know what? Not the first time we've ever had to back out of a war because we were losing. Not going to be the last. I'll just save face and say, oops, sorry.
Right.
But no, we're not doing that. We're doing the thing that we always do, where we're like, all right, we're in this war. We don't need to be. But I mean, whatever. We have very nebulous objectives. So now we're here for 20 years. And then we'll decide, never mind, we shouldn't have been here and pull out of it. So no, this is all bullshit. Every aspect of this is bullshit. We spend more on our military every fucking year. He's the motherfucker who finally jumped that number above $1 trillion.
Yeah.
And also, what's important to know with defense spending is the number that's on paper that we're spending
is not how much we're actually
it's
spending.
Double that. I
Yeah.
did this research for a class at UWGB, and it blew my fucking mind because I always knew that it was out of control.
That's
But
only
when you
because
see-
that's only what they report.
Yes,
Yeah.
but once you see what the full picture of that is, when we were supposedly spending $800 billion on our military, that number was actually $1.7 trillion.
Yeah.
And so now, if we're already spending on paper $1 trillion, it's got to be over 2.
Yeah. And it's just the richest country in the world, and we can't do that. I know a way that we could fund daycare for everybody.
Pretty easy.
Get rid
Tax
of fucking billionaires. Tax the wealthy, bring back the 1950s, 90%, tax rate if you're making over $3 million.
And for context, just so because again, this is another one of those things that gets misunderstood a lot. What that means is that over $3 million, everything over $3 million is getting taxed at 90 whatever percent. It fluctuates.
3 million in income.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
A year, which
Yep.
is not, that's a lot.
Right.
Most people, and we could talk about this another time too, or in the comments, but when people are like, most people are not making 3 million a year, much
No.
less, that's 1% are
Yeah.
making 3 million a year.
Yeah, and it's also, again, not even saying 95% of that. We'll
Right.
just go with the Eisenhower numbers because it's easier. 95% of 3 million. That's not what that means. It means over that 3 million, everything is taxed 95%. So you still get that 5%
Mhm,
after 3 million, and you still get the 3 million. But everything else, and if you wanted to make it higher, you could. Like, I frequently use 10 million as an example. So if you make $10 million, cool. We won't even tax you up to the 10 million. How about that? We'll make it even nicer on you. Because normally it's taxing the normal tax rate up to that 10 million and then the 95 kicks in. But fuck it. We'll just say you don't even have to pay taxes up to 10 million. But 95% of everything over that 10 million is going to the government. Sorry. And that's the kind of shit that we had when we had the golden age of America, the actual golden age, not the Hobby Lobby golden age that Donald Trump has. Where, we were able to afford, our grandparents didn't have to pay for college in most places. California was tuition free until a certain Ronald fucking Reagan took over, and then all of a sudden that project ended. But they did have it, and
Fuck
it was
Ronald Reagan.
Fuck Ronald Reagan, exactly. They did have free tuition at the University of California system. It's also the biggest university system in the country, and they were still able to manage
Yeah.
a tuition-free model until Ronald Reagan came in and said, you know what, these kids are protesting Vietnam a lot. I bet if they had to pay more for college, they'd go to their classes more and
Mhm.
protest less.
Yeah. Yeah.
This-
I mean,
this is a
and
man.
James, what do you think? Is this going to hand an easy victory or an
Uh,
easier victory?
Well, we got to move on in the interest of time.
True.
Never underestimate the ability of Democrats to fuck something up.
That is
But
true.
I will say,
There's only very certain things that are true in the universe. Death, taxes, and Democrats snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory.
Yes.
I will say to close though, This is a man who got, there's a lot more racism in it than I'm going to go into here, but this is a man who got elected on 2 promises. 1, help the working class. 2, no new wars in the Middle East. Like, fucking both of those up in the same sentence is quite the accomplishment.